Okay, people. So here's the plan. We're going to make a Ruby on Rails CRUD app, complete with authentication. So as you can see up here, the current versions I'm using. I'm on Windows 10, Ruby 3.1.2, Rails 7.0.4. We're going to be using Bootstrap 5. We're going to make a CRUD app that has Auth. Nothing too crazy here, pretty much a simple app. But here we go. So as usual, we're going to start in some sort of directory of your choice. I'm using git bash, the shell that comes with git when you install it. I find it works better than most other things I've used. So first thing you got to do is gem install Rails. So if you're not familiar with Ruby and Rails, this is sort of like npm install. Okay, it's gems or packages, just like npm packages. So we're going to do that first. So you have Rails installed globally, but you still have to do this to start a file. So, okay, so let's just, on that note, let's just like verify Ruby -v 3.1.2, Rails -v. For some reason, this usually takes a while. Excuse me. 7.0.4. Okay, good. So gem install Rails. So then to make an app, a new app, you do Rails new and the name of your app. We're gonna do exercise tracker. It's just gonna, you write down what your exercise was for that day. So it's gonna make a bunch of stuff. That's one of the great things about this Ruby on Rails. You don't have to do a lot. There is the Rails way of doing things, and it does a lot for you, which, can be bad or good. If it's a simple app, simple CRUD app, it's all done for you practically. It's pretty cool. I'm more of a JavaScript person, but I had to learn this for something, so I was pretty surprised how much this does for you, and I mean that in a good way. So that's cool. So this takes a minute. I'm going to try to go through this pretty much as fast as I can. So, if I gloss over some things, feel free to ask questions in the comments, and I will do my best to help you out. Have you ever done a big npm install or create React app or something like that? You should be familiar with this waiting time. Nothing different here. This is taking this long because I said I was going to try to go fast, right? Oh, there it goes. It's making a bunch of stuff. It's still going. Hope that wasn't loud. All right, it's still going at least. We're going to be using VS Code, just for the record. And there it goes. Okay, looks like we're all good. So we're going to cd into the directory we just made. What was it? Rails. Rails exercise tracker, and then we have to do bundle install. This is sort of like when you clone a Git image and you have to npm install, sort of same idea. I know it just did a bunch of similar things. Yeah, so now it's much faster. All right. The first thing we're going to do is a Rails command S, which is short for server. And this is going to basically make a development server for us so that we can see our app in action. As you can see, it's going to be localhost port 3000. Let's get a new window here for you guys. Hold on. There it goes. Localhost 3000. And it should come up. Maybe it's just my computer is slow today. Maybe it wasn't even the Rails that's slow. Looks like there. So yeah, there you go. If you get this screen, you know that you've got Rails up and running. You have a Rails app. Look at that. Okay, cool. Now we know we've got a started project. Nice. So I'm actually going to stop this for a minute because I want to open VS Code. If you're not familiar with that, doing the code and the period just opens VS Code in the current directory. So you see there's a bunch of stuff here, a bunch of files that Rails made for us, a whole lot of stuff here, right? That's great. Most of what we're going to be working with is in this app folder, and the views probably, a little bit in config, a little bit in there probably not so much, too much in the controllers, because like I said, this makes a lot of stuff for us. In config, down here, roots, we will take a look at that quite a bit. That's it for now. Let's move. Let's get going here. All right, so we're going to create a new page, right? So the command for that is, well, there's two ways you can do it. You can make Rails do it for you, and you can do it manually. We're going to do the Rails make it for you. So it's Rails G, which stands for generate, controller, home index. All right. The controller, it's generating a controller and the associated view with it. Okay. It's going to make a home directory, a directory called home, and it's going to make the page it's going to make is going to be an index page. So we're going to see that is going to happen. Rails G controller. It's going to make the controller and the home directory, right? So let's come over here and close that a little bit. Let's see, is it still going? Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, you can see it made a bunch of stuff. Okay, there's a controller. Now there's a home controller. That wasn't there before. In your views, there's home index. That was not there before. Let's see what happens if we come back here. First, let's restart this. There it goes. There it goes. So let's see. Any changes? Just thinking. No, not yet. Okay. So you might think that index.html would be the home, right? But it's not exactly how it works. We have to set up the routes ourselves a little bit. We could actually, if we go to might work, right? But normally you would think where you have an index.html, you can just leave off the index.html and it works. But this case, it doesn't work. We have to set that up manually. This is just giving us saying, hey, that doesn't really work. Here's some other things that do work. This is all stuff that we are not going to touch. So let's get this figured out. What do we need to do to fix this up? So this is where we go to our roots, which is in config, down here, roots, and this is where we're going to define our roots, of course. Makes sense, right? So we want the page we generated to be the home page of the whole app, not actually in the path of home, okay? So what we're going to do is, like this says here, define the root path for just a slash, right? So we're going to do root home and then index, right? So that's just like it says here, right? Okay, but so we're going to get rid of this. Now, if we do this, hit save. Do we have this running? Okay. Let's see what happens here. Don't know if I have to restart the server or not. We're going to find out in a minute. Looks like it's loading. Yeah, so now that's the home page of the whole site. Okay, so we made our home directory like the home page. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. And like it says, we can edit this here in the views home index.html.erb. ERB, by the way, stands for embedded Ruby, if I'm not mistaken. So if we wanted to change this, we could say H1. I still do not know how to get Emmet working quite properly with this. So what I've been doing is just making this HTML. And then I can say H1 and Emmet works. Here's the new home page for the exercise tracker. And let's see if that works. There you go. Just like it says, complete with spelling errors and everything. Look at that. Okay, so you get the point, hopefully, of where things are and what they look like. Okay, so let's start making some sort of a layout, right? First of all, let's take a look at this, right? So in this page, all we have is this H1, right? But if we look at the source that's generated, there's a whole bunch of stuff there that is going on in the background, unbeknownst to us. Only thing we have in that file is this, right? But there's all this other stuff going on. So let's take a look about doing layouts. So this is actually going to be in views, layouts, application. So you can see here's the title, and here's a bunch of meta stuff. There's the meta. So again, this is being generated somewhere else and changed into this somewhere in the back. But it's not really something we want to mess with too much. But so here's an important part. Here, let me bump this up a little bit. Make it a little bigger. Hopefully that's a little easier to read. That's probably too much. How about right there? That's probably good. The yield, this is where the stuff from our views gets put, okay? So I guess I need to talk a little bit about this syntax here. If you ever used, if you're all like me coming from JavaScript, you've probably maybe used EJS for templating. It looks remarkably similar, right? So you have in this embedded Ruby, you have these tags. And if you're going to do Ruby on the page, you'd start with this, and you do some stuff, and it closes with the same tag. And that will do stuff that happens but doesn't show up on the page per se. If you want it to show up on the page, you do the one that has the equal sign. And let's see what happens if we do that. Save that. Let's take a look. Uh-oh, did I close my thing? Shoot. Let's get it back over here. Undefined local variable stuff. Okay, that's because it thinks those are variables. So if I wrap that in a string, maybe. So this line should do some invisible stuff on the page stuff, right? Because this one has the equal sign. So if it doesn't have the equal sign, it says do some Ruby stuff. If it does have the equal sign, it says do some Ruby stuff and output it to the page, right? So let's see if that's in fact true. So there you go, some stuff on the page. So let's see, for instance, if you wanted to, you get the idea. I don't want to get too deep into how Ruby works. I'm assuming you have at least the basics of Ruby. You get the idea. Okay, so I need to move on. Without the equal sign, does some Ruby. With the equal sign, does some Ruby and outputs it. Okay, so all the meta stuff is being grabbed from the stuff that Rails created when we started everything up. So everything that's going to be, let's get rid of this. On every page, this is going to be on every single page. Okay, and the yield is where the views will be displayed. So let's take so we want something that's going to be on every page, probably like a header, right? So we want to put it over the top of here. Oh, because I'm back to ERB. Oh, so I think on this page that had this real Ruby stuff, not just like view stuff, changing this to HTML caused a problem. So we're going to just have to suck it up and manually do it. Could be worse. This is the header. And let's do the same thing, but with we'll call this the footer. And in theory, if all goes well, there should be a header and a footer on these pages, right? Let's find out. There you go. There's a header and there's a footer, and it's not in our view. It's in this application .html file. So you get the idea. This could be pretty powerful. You can, use that for making sort of layout kind of stuff. Let's see what's next. Checking my notes. Oh, so we can do, let's next do this. We can do, if you have a more complicated header, right, than this, and you start filling up with stuff, navigation, all that kind of stuff, it can get a little large, right? So you can do partials, sort of like PHP partial. Have you ever done it in PHP where you have like a separate file and puts it in there? So you're going to do a partial. You do it like this. You do new file, and you underscore header.html.erb, and so we're going to cut this. We're going to cut this header line out of here, and we're going to put it in our header here. And the way that you want to do to put that, A partial in your code, sort of like this yield. It's similar. It's going to be one of these embedded Ruby tag things. And you say render. And then you tell it what you're going to render. And it's going to be home/header. You don't need to put that underscore there. It knows, Ruby and Rails know that, okay, when you put it over here, it means it's partial. Here it says, okay, I know it's a partial because it told me to render. You don't need to look for it. It just knows what to do. Just remember that you do that over here, underscore here, but not here. And in theory, it should still work. Oops, something's not right. Render home header. What did I do wrong there? What did I miss? Oh, ERG. Let's see if that helps. Nope, that's still not the problem. Missing partial. Why is it a missing partial? Use home. Oh, it's because I wanted it in header, not in layouts. Okay, let's move it up there. Let's see what happens now. Okay, so that's where we want it. This is the header from the partial. Just so I can show you that it's not on the old place anymore, that it's in the new place. Okay, cool. You should do, as a little practice, you should stop the video right here, right? And do the same thing we just did here with this header and make a footer. Okay, it's just good practice. Take a second and do it yourself. It's not hard, right? Okay, I'll give you a second. Okay, so let's see. What did we do? We cut this out. We made a new file called footer.html.erb. And we put our stuff in here. And we hit save. And we go back here. And what was it? It was the render, right? Home/footer. And hit save. And let's do this. Render footer. Just so we know that it's something changed. Let's see. Still thinking. Oh, I did it again. Syntax error. Around line 22. What now? Okay. Render home footer. Oh, I didn't close the quotes. Look at that. Let's see if that fixes it. Render home footer. Render footer. Why aren't you working? Line 16. Unterminated string. Missing partial. Did you mean home header? No, I meant home footer. Let's do maybe every once in a while, sometimes I've run a thing where I just have to restart the server and it'll, after it makes an error, and it'll go. So hopefully that's just all that's going on there. Give it a chance to restart, see what happens. Looks like it's going now. Hopefully, keep our fingers crossed. No, what the heck is going on here? What do I have different? That the header was working. Did I put it in the wrong place again? Oh, dummy. I mentioned it, but then I didn't do it. It can't find the partial because I didn't tell it that it's a partial by doing the underscore first. Big dummy, Alex. Here you go. So let's try that. I bet that's the problem. There you go. Okay. Syntax is important. Okay, cool. So you get the idea here. We can do some cool things with layout doing this, right? I was just thinking to myself, why is that so small? But that's because I just did a footer, didn't give it even a heading, you know what I mean? I wonder, Command Shift P, rapid abbreviation, H1. Does it work? Hey, look at that. So the Emmet still works in there. That's kind of weird. Let's do the same thing here. Control Shift P, Emmet rapid abbreviation. We'll give it a H1 and save that. Okay, so it's a little obnoxious looking right now, but we obviously haven't done any kind of styling yet. Speaking of styling, we're going to do Bootstrap. I know some of you may be shaking your head. Oh, Bootstrap, it's boring. But if you can do Bootstrap, a lot of the other ones are the same concepts. You have class names that and components that you can plug in and stuff like that. So we're going to just get this from the CDN. You can just Google Bootstrap CDN, official CDN of Bootstrap. It's very first link. Tell you what, let's go to. That's not what I thought I was gonna see. So let's just go to Get Bootstrap. New, and it's probably gonna be the same thing. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna do the npm install. I tried it and had a problem, and I was Googling, and other people were having problems, and I wanted to keep it simple. So we're just gonna do the include it via CDN way. So this is gonna have to go. Where do you think? In the file that does. It's gonna be on every page, right? The application, right? So it's going to be in the head, Alt-Z, so it'll wrap, okay? And somewhere so we're going to do the JavaScript too. I remember reading somewhere, I guess this is typical, but that you want your JavaScript near the end. But again, so the CSS goes inside the head, and the JavaScript goes just before the body. The end of the body, I should say. Okay, so if we take a look at the page now, we should be able to tell if we have Bootstrap, because if nothing else, the fonts should change too. There you go. So we didn't change anything except by adding Bootstrap. So we know Bootstrap is installed properly, right? Cool. So we got that. So let's talk about, we're talking about having a header, so we want to have a nav bar, right? So let's do something with that. So let's go to Bootstrap, and let's go to the docs, and let's go to find some components, right? Some components, we would like to have a nav bar. So here's the nav bar. Probably didn't need to go to components first. Anyway, so navbar, let's find, where's the one that has like basically everything right here. And then we'll just get rid of some stuff that we don't want. So we can copy it. And since this is going to be on every page, we're going to go to the header. We're just going to get rid of this, and we're going to copy and paste this. Let's just see what happens if we just throw that in there. We get should have the whole thing. There we go. We have that whole thing. So we don't need this search bar or this button or a bunch of this stuff. We're just going to have a couple simple links. Let's see then. So we got to find, let's start towards the end, right? Because we said we don't need the search box or the button. So here's the search box, right? And the button is this form. So we can get rid of that, right? We can get rid of this. These are ULLI, right? So these are as typical for a nav bar. It's a list. It's just on its side, so to speak. So we're starting from the bottom of the list. Here's this one with this list item that's with the disabled button. We can get rid of that. And then we're not going to have a drop down. So that's all of this. Get rid of that. Let's start with that. Let's see what that looks like. All right, so we just have navbar, which is going to be the title. We'll like this one that's a little darker, so let's keep that. We need all this stuff because this is all stuff that makes it. If you do the smaller page, does the what do you call it? The hamburger, collapsible hamburger thing. So we got to keep all that stuff. So be careful not to do that. So link. We just want to get rid of that one too for now. Link active. Let's get rid of that. Let's see what we got here. All right, so that's good for now. So it's not going to be home for us. This is going to be the home, and this is going to be so we want this to be, where's the one with the title? Button, div class, nav item, nav bar brand. Okay, there it is, nav bar. So this is going to be the title of our app. And this is going to be, we're going to make like an about page, right? So we'll get there. We don't have an about page yet, but okay, exercise tracker and our about page. This one goes to the home, and this one goes home too because we haven't made another page yet. But let's do something here. So let's make a page. So I told you that there is more than one way to make a page, right? Sorry, I was just trying to see how long I've been going for, but I'm just gonna keep going. Take a break whenever I get around to it. So there's more than one way to make a page. We want a new page, but we're not going to do the generator page. We're going to do it manually. So the way you make a page manually, you need three things. 1, 2, 3. You need the view, a controller, and a root. So we're going to do a new file. We're going to do the view first. View, home, and in here we're going to make a new file. It's going to be about.html.erb. And we're going to say h1. What the heck is that? I have no idea. Where's it getting that? No clue what that is. Yikes. And this is going to be all the cool stuff about our app. It's going to be in the about page, of course, right? So there's our view. We need a controller, right? So we're going to share the home controller. We can just add stuff into the home controller. Basically, we're just going to copy this down. Control Alt down arrow is the wrong combination of keys. Sorry about that. That flips it. It's Alt Shift down. And we're going to make that about, and there should be a controller there. Basically, these work is if you wanted to do some stuff, special stuff in the about, we'll get into the little controller stuff much later. But here it's just, so far we're just defining it. You could add extra programmatic stuff in here, but we're not going to do that right now. But it still needs to have a controller file. Then we need to do, I said, so the view, the controller, and the roots, which is in config roots. And then we need to add sort of like this one was up here. It's just a get, and it is home/about. And that should be all we need to make this work. Okay, it's reloading. Reloaded. It's going to go to the about page. No, what did I do wrong? Oh, because I didn't tell it where to go. Right? So I need to do a link. Not doesn't quite work like this in Ruby. Let me just get that a little bit. All right. So we need to do the link goes a little different since this is embedded Ruby. Let's just put this right below here so we can go. We want this to be on the page. Or do we? Let's leave it off for now. If it doesn't work, then we'll add it. I forget. So link to, right? And then you tell it what you want to link to. So this is going to be, or I'm sorry, this is the link text. And then the path. You remember over here when we did something that didn't exist and it told us what roots were around? This is one easy way to find what roots are available. So here's the about path. So it's home, about, path, the root path. This is the one we want. Okay, if we put this goes in here. We need a comma, and then the path, and then if you wanted to put some sort of any kind of CSS class, you could do that here, colon, and let's say active or something. In fact, let's do that. We'll steal these from here, right? Okay, now if we get rid of that and we save this, let's see if that's going to do it for us. We're going to reload. No. Why not? Let's just restart it sometimes. That'll help. Sometimes not. Let's see. No, that's not it. What did I do wrong here? Link to. Oh, so maybe it is the. That's what I said we were going to do if it didn't work. And so that's what we're going to try. There it goes. It's going to go, okay, so look at that. It went to the about page. Now, it didn't look like too much happened because it was just this line that changed. But that makes sense because we said this nav and the footer are supposed to be on every page, right? So we need to fix the link to this part. So it's still the same thing. It's going to be linked to, so where did we say? It's over here. So let's give us a chance to try this again. So do our little embedded Ruby and link to, and then it goes to, we said it's this, right? We're going to take this. And then it was the path. And again, let's find out what the path is for the home, because it's not just home, it's root path. Okay. Root underscore path. And if we want to have some class, which we do, we want that class, we do class, and in quotes, and let's see, we shouldn't need that anymore. And we hit save, and then we hit something that we actually want. And we have the about, and we have home. Look at that. We have 2 pages. Hooray. Cool. I know it looks like garbage. Don't worry. I'm not really that. This isn't really supposed to be a Bootstrap or even a CSS video. So we'll do a little bit of Bootstrap just to show you like how stuff works. But by the end of this, it's not going to be fully styled. That's not my plan. So don't worry about it. I did want to show you that this is how you're going to style some things. You're going to, sometimes they'll have like regular class like this if it's just an element, but if it's in the Ruby like this, then that's how you're going to add it. Okay, so let's see, what did I cover here? This is probably a good time to commit your code, and if I put that in my notes that this was a good time to commit, it's probably a good time for me to take a break too. So you probably know how this works. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of stuff, right? That is untracked. So add it all. Git commit with a message. And we're basically, my next thing I'm going to do is start adding CRUD functions. I'm going off my notes over here, which you can't see off the screen, which maybe I'll include the notes when this is all said and done so that you don't have to watch the video. You can just go through the notes. Maybe that's cool. So then I'm say I'm up to adding CRUD. And I don't have this on GitHub yet, so I'm not going to push it to GitHub. But there we have a saved game portion. You know what I mean? So good time to commit and a good time for me to take a break. And we'll pick it up in the next video with starting creating the CRUD functionality. Cool.